Good morning. I'm Dan Caton, President of the Board of Directors of the AEP. It gives me great pleasure to officially welcome you to the AEP Content in Context Conference. For over 20 years, AEP's annual conference has been a premier networking and learning event for the educational resource industry. This year, we've made a number of enhancements, including more interactivity, to further improve your conference experience, to help you reshape and sharpen your businesses, and to help us collectively redefine our industry. I'd like to pause for a moment to thank the Conference Planning Committee who made this week's conference possible. Can I please ask all of the committee members to stand? I'd like to give special thanks to Neil Goff of Egremont Associates. There's others. Come on, Neil and others stand. Let's give them a round of applause. Corinne is here. Yep, good. Okay, thank you. Obviously, I don't have a commanding presence, or they'd have stood. But we do want to thank them, and if you'd like to see their names, are on page 7 of your program. Reflecting on this year's conference, one of the most notable changes is its name, Content in Context. What does that mean? Well, the context of the work that we do has never been more important. We could all draw up a significant list of changes in our environment, but let me offer a few. First of all, we have a new federal administration that has changed the way the Department of Education measures and rewards student and teacher success. There's continued talk of assessment for students, but with new calls for the ways we assess, leaving many of our teachers confused. Now, for the first time, we are seeing serious calls for teacher accountability, with at least tacit support from the presidents of the large teachers' unions. We're faced with the worst educational economy in decades, probably since the Great Depression, causing schools to fire teachers, enlarge class sizes, and delay instructional purchases. And yet one of the biggest infusions of funding from the federal government we have ever seen, with a $5 billion investment in Race to the Top that also includes funds for I-3 grants, $3 billion in funds for school improvement grants, and significantly increased funds proposed for Title I. Speaking of legislation, we have new legislation proposed and coming for ESEA, which is America's most important fund for education, which would significantly change an already revolutionary modification to it that some of us may remember, called No Child Left Behind. We also have increased awareness of how poorly we have prepared students for their middle school and then high school years, with only 70% of America's students receiving a high school diploma, a shameful statistic in this country in the 21st century. But more shameful is the growing understanding of how poorly we have prepared students for careers in college while they're in school. At McGraw-Hill, we recently sponsored a study where we found that the majority of guidance counselors and high school teachers feel that they've prepared students pretty well for their college years. Yet, there's a disconnect because we know that among graduating high school students who go on to college, 53% of them require remedial help. What's more, half of all community college students do not come back for their second year, while as many as 25% of freshmen at four-year institutions do not return after their freshman year. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, and a significant part of this conference, is the digital challenge. We know that many schools have put into place one-to-one computing, virtual social networking, widespread interactive whiteboard use, creative use of open source networks and handheld devices. We also know of many schools that have one computer in the back of the classroom that doesn't work because no one budgeted IT support, where only a few students' families can afford hardware and broadband access at home, where unmotivated teachers get no access to training and the encouragement they deserve. Our customers, millions of students and teachers face such disparities at varying levels. They ask us daily for help with these digital challenges, and we, the people in this room, are the best equipped resources to help them meet those challenges. But who's figured out the business models for this new world? Well, you might think that the cell carriers have, who have been great beneficiaries of the digital revolution, but just this past week, as I think all of you know, AT&T has decided to go away from the flat rate charge and charge extra for heavy bandwidth users who are mostly iPhone users. I'm sure a few of you digital superhighway cloggers are in the room right now. In fact, Frank is doing it right now. I suspect he's clogging us up even as we speak. And talk about a disruptive business model. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that Kindle and Apple and soon Barnes & Noble will pay authors who publish ebooks with them directly will receive a 70% royalty. Now think about your own business plan and add on a 70% royalty and see how disruptive that might be. So this is the context. It's the most disruptive, discouraging, exciting, energizing, and dangerous education market that any of us have faced. We have the content, the curriculum, the resources, and the people to help every educator become more successful. So putting that content into this context is our challenge. Without question, we are not just publishers or content providers. We are educational experts who put content in context for educators and their students. We are educational innovators and problem solvers for the 21st century classroom. So this summit and the other activities of the AEP are dedicated to helping all of us navigate these dangerous but potentially lucrative markets. The wisest of us will learn from our colleagues by taking advantage of all we are offering here.